Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Malifaux, and this is a practice game. Insidiously Mad and myself decided to try to get in before the Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy tournament. Both of us had looked at this scheme pool and thrown up a little bit in our mouths, so we felt we'd give it a bit of a dry run. My camera was really playing up this game, so I don't have very many pictures of the first turn, but I think I then sorted it out, so bear with me. For terrain, we've got these, impassable height, probably 2, various tombstone things, impassable height 6, hardcover buildings, hazardous terrain, the spiky fences, height 1, climbable soft cover hedges, and anything else. These are probably just hardcover blocking height 2, and this patch over here is a forest. As this is the only picture I managed to snap before my phone died, we don't have a great picture of my opponent's deployment, but I'll try to do my best. In front of the blue house we have a doppelganger with 1,000 faces and primordial magic. This thing I think is Baby Cade with depression. We've got Lust with the Mimic's Blessing. Somewhere back here we've got Iggy also with the Mimic's Blessing. In the forest I think Pandora started off. And she's got Fugue State, Wings of Darkness, and he went Voices. Doesn't normally go Voices, but he wanted to test it out. And then out on the other side of the forest we've got Lilitu and the Mysterious Effigy. For my team I've got Toshiro with Command the Graves, my one-winged Carrion Emissary with the Ancestral Conflux. Oh, and Toshiro also has My Little Helper. A performer, another performer, the Graveyard Spirit, Yanlo with Brutal Karaoke, and then just next to him Datsuba with Spirit Whispers and My Little Helper. So yeah, this pool was pretty horrible. The strategy is Headhunter, so it means you don't need to be anywhere in particular on the board, and it kind of pays to play defensively. And as you can see, we've both brought crews that have lures or can otherwise move models around. The Neverborn much more than the Resurrectionists. However, there's Show of Force, which means whoever can hold and stand in the centre can score easy points. Doing this makes your crew a little bit vulnerable to Hidden Trap and Accusation, but also allows you to do them yourself if your opponent looks like he's going to also come in and try to contest the centre. Not to mention, this is a way of getting heads. Although as Frame for Murder's in the pool, you've got to be a bit careful about it, because Show of Force means you want to be taking big chunky models that both make good Frame for Murder choices and can also give you up lots of points potentially if you take henchmen for more upgrades. Finally, we've got the claim jumps always in there, and flank deployment, which is really good for claim jump, and this encourages you to split your crew out to the flanks. And because you aren't committing all your resources to the centre, it probably means that you'll be giving your opponent the centre. If they've taken Accusation and Hidden Trap, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for them, as they'll have to split off to come to you in some way. But if they've taken Claim Jump, then you're pretty screwed, as they're both in the centre and able to score their points as well. So really, I kind of look at this and think there's two ways of playing it. One is take and hold the centre, with Show of Force as the main scheme. And then if your opponent looks like he's going to come for the centre too, choose one of the Hidden Trap or Accusation. Or if he looks like he's going out to the flanks, then you choose Claim Jump or something. Or you go out to the flanks doing Claim Jump and then either choose Hidden Trap to dive into the centre at the end of the game, Frame for Murder to run something in, probably a bit obvious that, and try to lure bits of the opponent's crew away to get headhunters out on the flanks and hope they don't just shift their crew fully one side. Ultimately, it looks like we both decided that controlling the centre was the stronger play. I've got 4 upgrades across, on 2 henchman models, reasonably defensible. I know Toshiro is a red Joker magnet and Datsuba's 6 wounds incorporeal going into Neverborn, but work with me here. They have got some defensive tech, and my opponent has chosen to spread his 4 upgrades out across 4 quite lightweight Enforcer models. I'm hoping that the fact I've taken Henchman will bait him into taking Frame for Murder. It's not really my intention to kill very much this game, more just summon Ashigaru to keep bodies in so that I can keep accusing and try to wall off my upgrade carriers. Yanlo can be giving things armor to keep them around even longer and transferring his AP, and then if I need to kill something, hopefully I can do it with some Ashigaru or poison them with the performers that kind of thing. Oh, and of course, lightning dance things out of the centre. I went with Accusation of a Hidden Trap because I figure I'm probably going to die. Pandora's pretty killy, and getting markers down will be a little bit problematic if my performers also want to be trying to pick up heads. My opponent's crew is also pretty mobile and flexible, and he's a canny player. He's not going to be standing around at the end of the game near markers if I have any unrevealed schemes. I have, however, forgotten how good Pandora is at denying accusation, as her insight and activation order manipulation can really screw you up. On top of the fact that most of my crew is going to spend the game paralysed. Yeah, so the plan basically is summon lots of Ashigaru to keep my numbers up, dance things around or transfer AP with Yanlo to make things do accused or remove accused. Maybe get some minion or poison kills if I can. The performers are going to be trying to pick up any heads that drop, and I want to use their lures as a kind of like a counter lure. So if he starts dragging my models around, I can get them back. Carrion Emissary might try to fake Frame for Murder and try to take the heat off my upgrade carrying henchmen, and Datsuba and the Graveyard Spirit are going to hang around together because Pandora can just eat Datsuba. I mean, she eats most things, but it's like Datsuba's coated in butter. I don't get a picture of my hand this turn, and this is how things look at the end of the turn, when my camera finally started working again. So as far as I can remember, the Carrion Emissary had put up his shards here, so that later Toshiro could walk up into cover. He then fluttered over to this side and subsequently got lured and then paralysed by Pandora, who activated late in the turn. Toshiro just walked up to hide behind the shards, made my performer fast and waited for his zombie next turn. Various Neverborn just start moving up slowly. I'm wasting an activation with my Grave Spirit. Datsuba goes, summons the station and then walks off over here, I think, and then gets lured around by the sexy goat lady. My performer performs her counter lure, luring her back, and she survives and doesn't get any, I don't think succumbs to any more luring, which was nice. Yanlo kills the station for some chi. I can't remember which upgrade I took. It might have been the incorporeal one to help me get through the hedge. And basically what I'm doing here is I want to try to make it look like I'm trying to go for the flanks and maybe do some claim jumping. But I also can't be sure that's not what he's doing with the mysterious effigy out over here, so I want to try to block that and keep my models spaced out so that Pandora can't just paralyze everything and she'll have to choose a half of my crew, or at least all but one of my big models. At the end of the turn, my fast performer runs up and then lures Datsuba back forward, trying to get her close to the centre so I don't have to run very far next turn to get her into scoring range. We go to turn 2, there's my hand, and then I pop both my little helpers, which I suspect is going to be amazing this turn. I can't remember if I win or lose the initiative, but either way, Pandora goes in pretty hard, pretty early. I'm pretty sure my paralysed Carrion Emissary was incited last turn, and I think she now incites my mindless zombie as well. Because of my little helper on Toshiro and Datsuba, she can't just stay back at range and try to paralyse everything, and she's got to make a choice which one she's going to go for. So it looks like she's gone for Datsuba. I think she's paralysed the performer, and I'm pretty sure she failed to paralyse Datsuba. So that was quite a flub of an activation, I feel. The effigy went first and then accomplice to her, so she's got the effigy buff, which is important later on in the turn. In response, I've probably been forced to use the zombie, and at some point I get round to activating Toshiro, summoning Ashigaru from the zombie, and then moving up over here, giving the Ashigaru fast and pushing it, I think. And what I'm angling for here is to surround Pandora so that she can't keep pushing away and eventually grind her down. So the Ashigaru could be doing its one AP charge potentially, but to be honest, she'd probably just dodge away. And I think I'd forgotten at this point that she would just be able to walk through Datsuba. But as it turns out, my opponent saves me from making a bit of a dumb move by luring my Ashigaru over to join in with his crew. And since the doppelganger is now gone, I beat her savagely, halving her wounds and giving her poison, which was quite nice. I did contemplate putting up the no charge aura, or the charge and take 4 damage aura, and stop Cade coming in, but it ends whenever he's moved or pushed, and there's so many moves or pushes in this crew, I just think it's just not worth doing. And I'm happy to say I took the right decision at this point. You can see Yan Lo's made his way to the centre. Once the effigy had activated and run all the way over to this forest, I wasn't worried about him trying to sneak off to the corners and drop any markers anymore, so I figured I'd get Yan Lo involved. And so he lightning danced Pandora to go stand back here with the Grey Spirit and the Performer. And I've got a devious little plan to try to put her on negative flips by dropping a marker and using this Performer seduction ability, and then go in hard on her with Datsubar, screw the points this turn. If I can badly damage Pandora, that will take a huge amount of pressure off me. Sadly, she's able to cash in the effigy's buff and push herself out and engage Datsubar in such a way that I can't move out of her engagement to get within 6 inches of the centre. Oh man, I totally shot myself in the foot there. So as the Neverborn enforcers creep towards the centre, I get my Graveyard Spirit pushing up through all my guys and standing next to Yan Lo to keep him protected. Yan is now fully defensively upgraded. Lust comes in and throws Toshiro away out from outside the centre. And looking at these counters, it looks like Pandora accused my paralysed Performer, which, if I'd been thinking about it, something I could have maybe done would have been to activate her to get rid of paralysed, and then if, as long as she wasn't engaged with Pandora anymore, use 3 of Yan Lo's AP to transfer 1 to the Performer and get her to remove it. Such a far cry from Kalodi's abilities. Looks like Cade brings down my Ashigaru, and I've just noticed this marker. This is a nullify marker, so I think on the first turn the Primordial Magic, or maybe this turn, I can't remember. But anyway, he's nullified the Emissary. My Performer then drops a mark and blows it up to make Pandora take a willpower test. I'm hoping, it's the end of the turn, he doesn't have very many cards left. I'm hoping he doesn't have enough to pass it, and no, he passes it. Which is sad, because I'm about to try to run away with Datsubar, and I would love it if Pandora would have to risk the paralyze on the disengaging strike because of Datsubar's terrifying. But it looks like we're going to have to try to do things the old-fashioned way, and I can't escape Pandora. Can't get to the centre, and so just summon a cessation. It just occurs to me that I had the red Joker in my hand this turn, and I can't remember what I used it on. It might have been summoning the Ashigaru, but I really should have saved that to try to paralyse Pandora. Ah well. A lot of mistakes in hindsight this game. So we end the turn, Neverborn score Accuse and Show of Force, and I get nothing. We go to turn 3, I Soulstone and get nothing for it. This game is just going to go this way. I lose initiative, Pandora goes and paralyses Datsubar and Toshiro, and then we scrum it up in the middle. I try to activate in such a way that he can't easily accuse me. Carrion Emissary goes, tries to accuse Lust, but remembers that he's nullified and so gives the game away, and then just throws down some marks to try to block Lust's line of sight from my Sentra and Henchman. I don't think I do much damage to her. Perhaps I attack Cade, can't remember. The Vomit Worm also nullifies Yan Lo. Yan Lo makes Performer a spirit, transfers AP to her to move her to move up, and then she lures both Toshiro and Datsubar into the scoring zone of the centre. Lust's not having it, however, and so she throws I think she throws Datsubar out. This is the only picture I've got of this turn, so bear with me. Somebody's picked up my Ashigaru's head, and so at the end of the turn, the Neverborn have got a point for Headhunter, they've got a point for Show of Force, no one gets Accusation, and I still don't get Show of Force. So it's I'm 4-0 down at this moment, and the prospects aren't good. Turn 4, okay, it's make or break time. Pretty sure I Soulstone the initiative flip and steal it. If I didn't, that's the story I'm going with. And I go for the big play with the Performer. If he's got a 13 or the red Joker, this is just going to fall flat on its face. But he doesn't, and I cheat in my 13 of Crows to pull in and paralyse Pandora and then give her Accusation. Amazing! And that has got to be the sweetest irony I've sipped in a long time. But wait, it gets better! Can't remember what the Neverborn activated, but it might have been Cade going after the Emissary. And my Emissary's taken quite a bit of a beating, so I decided to go with him now. I rotten rend Iggy and he flips a red joker for his defense, but then I flip my red joker for the attack. So good! So I choose the take the attack again trigger, and then on a double negative flip the moderate to get a blast off, which then kills the doppelganger. And then my follow-up attacks kill both Iggy and get a blast onto the primordial magic, killing it and then unnullifying both my guys. Oh my goodness, that was amazing. This has got to be the result of pent-up karma, and Pandora is reaping the whirlwind. So good. I finish up by putting down the shards, trying to stop something from going forwards and grabbing the heads. Maybe that's not the best spot, but there wasn't a whole lot of options that wouldn't block me from getting them, to be honest. My performer gets accused by the effigy. Lilitu manages to make her way all the way over here. I suspect Lust had a hand in that. I get the Graveyard Spirit over to stand next to the effigy to give him armor 2. He's taken quite a bit of damage. I think at some point Yanlo healed him like 4 health, so he's not so badly wounded, despite Cade having a good old go at him. And I figure it's safe to go here because Lilitu's never going to be interacting unless all my guys are dead. Looks like Toshiro's got pushed away, which must have been Lust, so maybe Lilitu made it out of the forest and ran around here on her own. Between Yanlo, Datsuba and the performer, I managed to get Toshiro back in the centre. I think I transcended him so he'd be a spirit, and then Datsuba walked him back. Slow is really limiting what I can do with these guys. And at the end of the turn, I think we both score Accusation. I don't think I managed to get it off my performer. And I finally score Show of Force. And I think I block my opponent because Datsuba, I think, is just within 6 inches. So this was a huge turn. Wasn't quite as good as the beginning promised, but you know, I'm definitely back in the game. Turn 5. Can I ride this momentum to victory? Without the doppelganger around, I have a fair chance at getting the initiative and get it, and the performer wastes no time in picking up the head. I then lure Iggy towards me, trying to paralyse him, but fail. Not a good idea. My opponent has the cards to easily kill her in 1 activation, but he black jokers something, I feel, because she's still around. Carrying effigy wastes no time in accusing Lust and then maybe beating on Cade again. And then Lust slips my grip, escapes from combat and grabs a head. Oh, that was annoying. Datsuba runs solidly into the centre, determined not to be pushed out again, and manages to bring down the effigy before he can accuse anybody. Was a pretty close call though. Pandora goes, struggles a little bit, burning cards through, trying to get through my performer's manipulative. Ends up doing a little bit of damage to her, accusing her and really not doing a lot else, and this was a bit disappointing for her, I believe. But I think it's too late for him to be able to stop my scoring this turn. I mean, he's not going to kill both these guys. So the performer then goes, deliberately failing her duels against Pandora, causing enough damage to kill her, and so denying my opponent accusation this turn. Yanlo was waiting in the wings, probably still slow, to help finish her off should he be needed. And that, my friends, is where we end the game. Man, that was hard. But I think I've worked myself into a at least decent position. And who knows what would have happened if we'd gone into the next turn. I did flip to see and black jokered it, and so fate says no. Final scores. Okay, I think I got this right. The Neverborn scored 2 points for Headhunter, 2 points for Show of Force, and 2 points for Accusation. The Resurrectionists scored 1 point for Headhunter, 2 points for Accusation, and 2 points for Show of Force, making this game 6-5 to the Neverborn. That game was going horrendously. Between Pandora paralysing all my models and Lust throwing them all out of the centre, I just couldn't do anything. And it was beginning to look like I just wasn't going to score any points this game. Until that wonderful turn 4 when I don't know what happened. Like, luck just clusterfucked us. I got everything I needed. My opponent had a really bad hand and just wasn't flipping very good either. And it turned things from Pandora slow clapping Yanlo to death in an alley to an actual game. Just a shame it took that kind of twist of fate to put us on almost even ground. I don't think my crew was terrible, but my opponent definitely worked me well. This might be the part where I bitch about Yanlo, being hard countered by everything, but to be honest, Pandora would have done this to pretty much anything I could bring, and I liked my opponent's crew. It had so many lures, which were really good for kind of controlling which models could be potentially in the centre. The lures were more good at pulling things around and making it very hard for me to keep accusation on his models, or at least plan doing it. And Lust was fantastic for denying area. I quite like my crew too. It wasn't allowed to do what it wanted to do, but even whilst I was being shut down, I found I still had some options. I mean, they weren't great, but they were still options, like Yanlo being able to transfer his AP to get the performers to pull things around and try to get into the centre, try to get things scoring. It didn't look like he was really doing much, but getting the use of those abilities out of activation was just helping me work a little bit around models getting paralysed and moved and incited to activate, not when I wanted them. I didn't make much comment of incite, it's just really hard to keep track of, but you can be assured that my zombies were being incited pretty much every turn in an effort just to mess up my activation order. So yeah, I'm not disappointed in Yanlo. He did his thing. The performers are excellent, they're just such good models, and obviously my emissary was a murder machine. This thing is total utter bullshit, and I love every second of playing with it. Also enjoying the Graveyard Spirit. I didn't get much of actual value out of him this game. He maybe stopped 1 or 2 wounds at some point, but his ability to pinball around my crew is just really useful, and I think once I get a little bit better at using him and being able to protect the models that need it when they need it, I think he'll be able to pull some weight. I was using his card drop ability this game as well, and I think at certain points it did prove useful. I think I managed to get a 13 out of my opponent's hand at some point, possibly on turn 3 just before the fateful turn 4. Well, that was the game. I had a lot of fun. I hope you did too. Many thanks to my opponent, and I am in no way feeling confident about going into this tournament game, and you'll have to wait and see how that turned out. So until the next one, take care.